It says it's such a smartphone, but yet it can't even play a VHS tape. I thought today we'd take a little break from the Beach Boys and go back to one of the other key parts of Betamax Blocker's repertoire, which is VHS tapes. Notably, Key VHS tapes. Key Video was a subsidiary of CBS Fox throughout the 1980s, and they released a variety of unusual films and also some well-known classics on their label. I thought today I'd take you through my collection. We'll talk about a few favorites here, and if you have any fond memories of Key Video tapes, don't keep it to yourself. Please put them in the comments below, and we'll get a good discussion going on this VHS label. So let's start at the beginning, or at least the earliest film I have here. James Cagney's The Public Enemy. Love James Cagney, great actor. This is a video cassette from 1986 with the film from 1931 that made him a big star, The Public Enemy. This is actually an edited version. The scenes with the gay tailor who is flirting with James while measuring him for his suit are cut out, and some of the scenes where a woman takes advantage of him while he's unconscious and he belts her in the face for it in the morning are also cut out there. They're a little bit different. It's a great film regardless, though. It runs about a minute shorter than the DVD or some of the more complete prints, but a must-have for any Cagney fan. Great movie. Jean Harlow's in it too. From 1961, we have our good friend Paul Newman in The Hustler. Great ensemble cast. Jackie Gleason, George C. Scott, Piper Laurie, Murray Hamilton. Paul Newman as Fast Eddie Felson, who could be the greatest pool hustler of all time if he can get his ego and his attitude under control. This tape is actually pretty worn out. I tried to play it and all I got was static and fuzz. Even cleaning the VCR didn't help, so this is an old rental tape that's just about run out. But I have this on DVD. Great movie, must watch. A very underrated film I have for you from 1964, The Train with Burt Lancaster and Jean Moreau. You can see the huge sticker there at the bottom with the price and stuff, and apparently this was a second-hand purchase when I bought it second-hand at the thrift store. Maybe it had already had multiple owners, let's put it that way. I was getting it maybe like 6th or 7th hand. Nice Blockbuster sticker on there for you. Those of you who are nostalgic for the video rental stores, that'll bring back some memories. Great movie. Paul Scofield as the Nazi commandant, obsessed with art, trying to deliver the art train through France. Great score. Some very impressive train wrecks. Breaks my heart to see a train wreck, but at the same time it works really well in this movie. One of my favorite World War II films. Not made during World War II, it was made in 1964, but taking place in World War II. Last one of the kind of lone titles here, also a World War II film, Death of a Soldier from 1985. So this was only about a year old when Key Video released it, which is unusual because we've seen so many older films before, and we'll see many more before this video is up. But Reb Brown, a football player in real life, playing a soldier who likes to kill nurses, kill women because he's mentally disturbed. James Coburn is tasked with defending him, knowing full well that it is a fool's errand. Not hear much about this movie, never really caught on. I liked it, I thought it was pretty good, pretty intense. Definitely a bit uncomfortable, but that's okay. It was an interesting watch. So one thing that Key Video did was make series of videos that featured popular stars, usually older stars, not always though. This way if you had a favorite actor or actress, you could collect all the titles in that series. You have a little library of their films. So I have many favorite actors and actresses, so I kind of sorted mine by star. We'll take a quick look through. We'll start with Henry Fonda from 1939, Drums Along the Mohawk. John Carradine is the villain, based on the novel. In color, I might add. Edna Mae Oliver is great in it, playing a supporting part. I really like this one. Never read the book. Someday I will. I know it was a favorite amongst many of my peers growing up. From 1943, The Immortal Sergeant, pairing him with Thomas Mitchell and Maureen O'Hara. World War II film, pretty darn good. One of the bleaker World War II films, I would say. You know, there's a suicide, and there's a lot of kind of more somber scenes, things you don't see a lot in World War II era films. Most of them are almost nauseatingly patriotic, so it's nice to have one that's more patriotic but also still down to earth, also still believable. And he's good in this too, I gotta say. I like him. Henry Fonda's good in almost anything. So. And then finally, my favorite Henry Fonda film from 1943, The Oxbow Incident. The book is really good, but the movie builds on it. It's short and sweet, a western about lynch mobs, the kind of movie that in today's society, in today's climate, I think everybody could stand to watch, to remember how much hate and prejudice and not thinking things through actually can make a big difference. And sometimes you can take a life or hurt somebody thinking you're doing the right thing when you're really not. So when I taught film to my high school students, I used to teach film, I don't anymore, but when I did, I always made them watch this. And yeah, it's got some hokey parts, but they definitely got the message. Let's skip forward. My only Woody Allen video from his series is Annie Hall, Best Picture of 1977. Not one of my favorite Woody Allens. I like Hannah and Her Sisters, but this one's still pretty good. Got a lot of classic parts in there. Him imagining himself in his old grade school, him sneezing into the cocaine and ruining the big drug party for everybody, that sort of thing. A lot of people don't like that scene, but it is funny. So, interesting stuff. They did a whole video series for him, and his films were only about, you know, this was less than a decade old at the time. This tape, yeah, 1987, so a decade old at this time. But it was nice that they were getting some newer stars in there too. So there's Annie Hall, my only Woody Allen one right now. And I also only have one for the man himself, Humphrey Bogart. This is a clamshell. Those of you who were 90s children might remember these for like Disney movies. They were white plastic. Sometimes the corners were very, very sharp, not child safe. Here's Bogey in 1948's Key Largo with Edward G. Robinson and Lauren Bacall. A very good movie. Very suspenseful. Not my favorite of their pairings, but that would be The Big Sleep. But definitely a good one to watch there. And you got some great supporting actors in there. Thomas Gomez and Mark Lawrence. A lot of good supporting players. I do have quite a few of Bette Davis's videos, though. She was a star I'm sure they were really pushing. Here's The Letter from 1940. Unpopular opinion, I like the 1929 version with Gene Eagles better. This one is pretty good too, though. James Stevenson steals the show. Unfortunately, he died not long after this film. He was someone who was groomed to be a big star, but died, unfortunately, much too soon to reap the benefits of that. It's a good film. She's quite good in this. Got some very classic scenes. Here's from 1952, Phone Call from a Stranger. She's only a supporting part in this. Her husband, Gary Merrill, is actually, or at least at the time, her husband, Gary Merrill was like the star. This is kind of weird because it's him going around meeting different characters and kind of piecing together this multi-step narrative. And Betty was a woman who was cheating on her husband, played by Keenan Wynn, and she was injured during one of her dalliances in an accident. And her lover didn't care, but her husband did, even though she'd been unfaithful, and how that impacted her life. It's kind of a maudlin film. I didn't like it as a kid. I like it more now as an adult. But it's interesting. I'm glad I have it. Betty played Elizabeth I in the 1930s. She got her chance to play her again in 1955's The Virgin Queen. I don't remember this one too well. I've only watched it once. Joan Collins is in there. She's pretty young at this point. This was only the 50s. She's good in it, as I recall. Well, both Collins and Betty are good in it, but I think Private Lives of Elizabeth in Essex is a much better film. Definitely gives Betty more of a chance to kind of step out and do stuff. Although The Virgin Queen is in color. I don't want my stack of videos down there to fall over. Back to the clamshells with Now Voyager, one of her most famous films. She goes from being the ugly duckling with the huge spectacles and the frumpy dress to being beautiful and free and realizing how much everybody else has neglected her and screwed her over in her life, that kind of thing. It's a good film. Yeah, it's maudlin, it's kind of sappy, and the ending is deliberately inconclusive, but all told, I liked it. And then of course we have to have at least one of her films where she plays a mean old lady. So in this case, Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte. The less popular follow-up to Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. I like Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte. She's good in it. I like her and Olivia de Havilland together. Something a little bit different. Joseph Cotton's in here playing a villain. Not as good, but still a good film. I enjoy it. Not everyone does, but I do. And the song, of course, has lived on too. So let's do Marlon Brando next, with one of my favorite Brandos, Sayonara, based on the book by James Michener, my favorite James Michener novel, and also much different than his other books, because Sayonara is super short, while usually his books like Hawaii and stuff like that are like 900 pages. So I read Caribbean, it took me like 4 months. So Sayonara, it does change the book quite a bit. You know, there's a few characters added in, and there's a happy ending instead of a more downer ending. But all told, I liked it. Thought it was pretty good. Miko Tana is Hannah Ogi, who falls in love with Brando's Lloyd Groover. And you have Red Buttons as Joe Kelly, which is odd because the part should be played by a teenager, but Red Buttons was my age. And Oscar winner Miyoshi Umeki as his wife Katsumi. So it was pretty interesting. I liked it a lot. Here's another Brando. This is Morituri, him with Yul Brynner. I've only watched this once. I don't remember it very well. I know it's a World War II thriller. I don't remember being impressed by it. This will be one I'll have to go back and watch again. Maybe I'll like it better the second time. It's from 1965. And finally, from 1954, for Brando, please ignore the price tag still on his face. Desiree, which is like a Napoleonic War drama, and he does a good job in it. You know, it's a different kind of film for him, much better than he did in Mutiny on the Bounty in the 1960s. Brando didn't do too many of the, you know, powdered wig kind of historical drama, so it's nice to see him do that, and he was pretty good in this. I remember liking him a lot. Richard Deacon was in here too, from the Dick Van Dyke Show, without his glasses. There you go. So, here's one from the Jimmy Stewart line there, Mr. Hobbs Takes a Vacation. I actually can't watch this. This tape is broken, and I tried to fix it, and I failed. So I have to either try again or just cave and buy it on DVD. Maureen O'Hara writes at length about this film in her memoir, "'Tis Herself." She talks about how she liked James Stewart, but he was also determined to be the star of the film. He wasn't too keen on sharing scenes with other actors. So I'd like to see this sometime, but unfortunately my copy's busted. That's part of the price of using VHS tapes that are 30 years old, or 30 plus years old. Right, we'll get John Wayne, and then we'll have a little surprise at the end. Here's John Wayne's North to Alaska. We all remember the Johnny Horton song, "Way Up North," that kind of thing. So, good movie. I liked it a lot. Ernie Kovacs is in there, Fabian, quite a few other people there. It's fun. You know, got that kind of Klondike brawl vibe going. You know, Glenister kind of stuff. I like it. And one I've had for a while, but I haven't got around to watching, is The Comancheros. If you like John Wayne, please comment what films of his you like below, and let me know if The Comancheros is any good, because although I've watched a ton of his films, I've actually never watched this one. I'll show you another one of those cool Blockbuster stickers on there. So you better rewind, you don't want to have to pay an extra fee. And I saved the quirky one for last. Although this channel is Betamax blocker, there are definitely Betamax tapes in the house from 1935. Figured we'd begin and end with our boy James Cagney. Here's a beta tape of his 1935 film, A Midsummer Night's Dream. His only Shakespearean film, as with much of the cast. I'm not a big fan of this one, really. It's very strange. And I think the fact that they picked all these non-Shakespearean stars to be in this play that is kind of quirky and weird with fairies and creatures and stuff like that is definitely weirder yet, but hey, audiences in 1935 liked it, so there you go. And it's always cool to have a beta tape. Unfortunately, I have no Betamax player, so this is just a display piece, but no harm in that. So join us again as we go through more videos and maybe a few other surprises too. And we have some book reviews coming up in addition to the episode of the Beach Boys Hits Retrospective Endless Summer, which will be coming very soon. Hope you enjoyed our little detour today. I hope to see you again next time. Please leave a comment below, and until then, my friends, have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.